Welcome to class, everyone. So today we're basically putting on our expert product designer hats to learn how to build and support true parent-child connection. Over the last 15 or so years teaching early childhood development and designing child-centered products, I've seen firsthand how fascinating this dynamic really is. We're going to look at exactly how to design products that strengthen parent-child relationships without becoming gimmicky, intrusive, or just a one-size-fits-all band-aid. Whether you're a parent, an educator, or a designer, this explainer is going to completely change how you look at the products sitting in your home right now.
All right, let's take a quick peek at our syllabus. We'll start off by nailing down what bonding actually is. Then we'll uncover the 5 hidden mechanics of connection. After that, we'll talk about designing for the messy reality of real families, how to avoid the dangerous trap of convenience, making connection truly available, and finally, shifting our whole mindset from just building features to preserving meaning. Sound good? Let's get to it. Section 1. What bonding really is. So to kick things off, we really need to define our terms here. Simply put, parent-child bonding is a strong, warm connection between two people. And when we talk about designing products in this context, we mean creating literal tools that change the environment where trust and response actually happen.
But before we look at any actual designs, I want to throw a question out to you all. What is bonding, really? Is it just this spontaneous, magical feeling that drops out of the sky? Or is it something a bit more structured? Take a second and just think about how you've experienced it in your own life.
Well, here's the crucial light bulb moment. In product design, thinking of bonding as just a feeling is honestly way too vague to be useful. Bonding is not some isolated magical event. It's actually a reliable relationship pattern. It's built up over tons of tiny, repeated moments where a child learns, hey, this adult is responsive, they're safe, and they are definitely worth returning to. So a truly successful product doesn't just force bonding out of thin air, because that's impossible. What it does is lower the friction so a parent sitting at home can easily repeat this cycle of connection. It starts with a shared setup, it invites some natural parent-child interaction, and then crucially, it encourages them to come back and do it again. Because that repetition, that is exactly where trust builds over time.
I absolutely love this analogy. It's perfect for visualizing this concept. Bonding is built like a Beijing courtyard. It fills with warmth through repeated openings and returns. Write this memory tip down seriously. Novelty sparks initial interest, but reliability builds long-term trust, which means that simply spending more time together is not always the same as building a better connection if that time isn't set up for those warm, reliable returns.
Okay, moving right along to Section 2, 5 mechanics of connection. Let's look under the hood at these hidden gears of trust and break down the 5 mechanics that actually power these repeatable patterns we just talked about. Connection runs on 5 distinct mechanics, and it all starts with attention. Now, just being physically in the same room as a child, not enough. Proximity is physical, but attention is relational. The best way to think about it is like a flashlight pointing in a dark room. What really matters is where that beam of light lands. Does the child feel noticed? Are they answered? Are they remembered? For parents at home, a good product helps that flashlight of attention land cleanly on the child by cutting out the distractions.
As we expand on these mechanics, I find it super helpful to use a few simple analogies. So, predictability? That's like a well-worn path in a park. Families build trust through a reliable return, not by being constantly surprised. Reciprocity is like a shared dance floor, where both the parent and the child are responding to each other naturally. Developmental fit is like perfectly sized clothing. If your product doesn't match the child's actual stage of development, it's just going to feel awkward and forced. And lastly, meaning. This is all about preserving the emotional tone. Think of it like adding a microphone to a private conversation. Sure, it amplifies things, but you have to be careful it doesn't accidentally turn a cozy, private moment into a public performance.
Let's whiteboard this out for a second. When we map out the design implications, you can really see how expert designers weigh these trade-offs. Take a drawing toy, for example. A designer has to make sure it actively encourages reciprocity, meaning it needs to make the parent an equal participant on that shared dance floor, not just a judge standing on the sidelines grading the kid's artwork. The whole goal is to make the relationship super easy to enter and completely safe to repeat.
All right, Section 3, designing for real families. This is where we pull out of the theory and step right into the messy reality. Because let's be totally honest with ourselves, real families are not a controlled lab environment. They're not a blank canvas.
Family life is this incredibly dense system of constraints. We're talking limited attention, totally uneven energy levels, chaotic sibling dynamics, crazy work schedules, and major device fatigue. Asking families to somehow become more organized, more patient, or more expressive just to use your product, that's not supporting them. That is hidden labor. A product that ignores all these real-world constraints might look absolutely brilliant in a prototype, but I promise you, it will completely collapse in daily use.
To put that into perspective, let's look at a real-world scenario. Imagine a family in Beijing. They've got very limited after-hours time because the parents are working late and the kid is swamped with homework. They simply cannot rely on long, leisurely, hour-long activities. What they actually need is a short, low-friction ritual. Maybe just one single shared drawing prompt, or one quick question to ask at the dinner table. This kind of small, bite-sized ritual is what actually survives a bad day, because it's designed to absorb imperfection.
Which brings us right into Section 4, the trap of convenience. This is a massive design pitfall. As designers, we absolutely love solving problems by making things easier, but man, that can really backfire on us.
The absolutely crucial takeaway here is that convenience does not always equal connection. Actually, scratch that. Sometimes convenience kills connection. Take a bedtime story app that automatically reads the book out loud. Yeah, for sure, it saves a completely exhausted parent some time and effort. But if it completely removes the parent's active participation, it totally destroys that shared feeling of, we did this together. Convenience is literally only useful if it clears the way and creates more room for calm, spontaneous warmth. It should never, ever just replace the relationship entirely.
Okay, Section 5, Making Connection Available. Let's roll up our sleeves and explore how we actually make connection available by looking at some of the really common mistakes that my product design students tend to make.
Take a look at this matrix. Expert designers don't look for magical, perfect formulas. They think entirely in trade-offs. You want to aim right for the middle. If you lean way too far to the left into structure, the product feels like rigid, boring, instructional compliance. But if you lean too far to the right into complete freedom, it feels chaotic, and families have to exhaustingly negotiate the activity from scratch every single time. What you want to provide is a gentle shape, not a cage.
And guys, you absolutely must avoid these failure modes. Chasing constant, high-energy excitement, that fades so quickly. Building parent scorecards, that instantly turns a warm, natural interaction into a stressful, self-conscious test. And relying heavily on gamification is incredibly risky. Throwing points and streaks at everything quietly redefines the family relationship as just another chore to check off a list. Bottom line, the product should never, ever make itself the star of the show.
I want you to literally write this memory tip down because it is the absolute golden rule of our class today. A great bonding product is not the one that makes connection dramatic. It is the one that makes connection available. Your entire goal is to be modest, relational infrastructure. You want to lower the cost of parents and kids returning to each other, and then once that moment sparks, you need to fade completely into the background. And finally, Section 6, From Features to Meaning. Let's summarize our whole explainer today and really shift our mindset from just building cool, engaging features to actually preserving deep family meaning.
So here's your quick lecture summary. Today, we've learned that bonding is a repeatable pattern, not just a fleeting magical feeling. We know that while proximity is physical, true attention is deeply relational. We've seen exactly how resilient rituals are the ones that actually survive those tough, messy days, and how our products absolutely have to match the child's developmental reality. Ultimately, great bonding products do not manufacture closeness out of thin air. They simply protect the conditions where closeness can naturally emerge on its own.
All right, practice time. Let's test your understanding with a quick scenario. Imagine two people are sitting in a dark room together, right next to each other, but they feel miles apart emotionally. How do you direct relational attention when physical proximity just isn't cutting it? Well, you'd use a product to help direct that flashlight we talked about. Maybe it's a shared prompt that naturally encourages them to look at each other, which cuts through the outside noise and creates this tiny, powerful signal that just says, "Hey, I am right here with you."
Now, let's chew on this deeper conceptual question. If bonding products are so delicate, why is the advice to just make it fun almost always the wrong design answer? Well, think about it. While fun can definitely lower that initial resistance, true bonding requires something way deeper than just a laugh. It requires a shared space that feels incredibly safe, deeply responsive, and super easy to repeat. A product that's all novelty and fun with zero relational depth might grab their attention for a day, but there is no way it becomes a reliable long-term path for that family.
So I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought to take into your next project. This is the ultimate test. Before you add a flashy new feature, or automate a task, or try to gamify a routine, you have to ask yourself,
What relationship cost am I paying for this benefit? Are you saving time but completely losing the warmth of participation? Because when you start asking that question, that's when you start designing for real meaning. Thanks so much for joining me in this explainer today. Class dismissed, and hey, happy designing.